Hey, what is up everybody? Welcome back to an episode of Pokemon Go. And in today's episode, we're going to be doing something a little different, but something that I really like, and I don't know how well it's going to be received, but I think this is going to be a very interesting theory dive and breakdown from all the way back in July of this past year, during the happy 6th anniversary Pokemon Go, right around the time that they were announcing Go for Seattle, Sapporo, all the other Seattles. This was originally created by the person in charge of character design for Pokemon Go, which is very interesting. Now, I'm going to get into this part right here. This is the actual image, and I think it holds a lot of Easter eggs and a lot of possibilities for Pokemon Go for the next season and next seasons, as they are quickly approaching in just 2 weeks, or under 2 weeks actually, by the time this video comes out. And also, I just recorded this whole video and it didn't save. So here I am recording it again. But there's a lot of cool things in this, and I'm super excited about this. And I think it's going to be very interesting in what it implies for Pokemon Go. Now we see here Mega Charizard, Mega Blastoise, Mega Venusaur, Mega Latios, Mega Latias. All the Pokemon that we've seen, of course, in Mega Raids before, hinting at, of course, more Mega Raids, but possibly even more Mega Legendary Raids, which would be very cool, or just paying homage to the most recent and only legendary Megas in the game, Latios and Latias. But could we see Mega Rayquaza coming to Pokemon Go soon? Also, fun fact, I don't think we're getting Primal Kyogre or Primal Groudon until Hoenn Tour next year. That's right. Now, what's more interesting actually is all the other Pokemon in this. Now, we see here, of course, other characters as well. We have the team leaders. We have Ree, which just cements Ree as a character in Pokemon Go, just building the lore, the Ultra Beast and all that jazz, which is super cool. But also, we have Nihilego, also kind of supporting that. But more importantly, we have here Cosmog, which is the baby base form of the legendary Pokemon Solgaleo and the legendary Pokemon Lunala, the box art legends of the Alola region. Now that's super cool, but we also see a new Lycanroc that if you only play Pokemon Go, you've never seen before. This is Dusk form Lycanroc, which is my favorite form of Lycanroc, and people thought as soon as they put sunsets and sunrises in Pokemon Go, that this was how you were going to get this form of Lycanroc, which it probably will be, because you had to evolve a hidden ability, Rockruff, during a certain time, right as the sun was setting or as the sun was rising. But I think it was more specifically as the sun was setting. You could get an own tempo Rockruff between the hours of sunset, evolve it, and it became Dusk form Lycanroc, which is this orange one, super cool. It is by far my favorite form from watching the Alola series of the anime, but also because playing Sword and Shield, I actually got a full odds Lycanroc from a raid, which was super cool, and one of the only raid shinies that I have outside of Pokemon Go. Now that being said, we also have Phalanx and Galar Stunfisk, kind of showing maybe a return to Galar, which would be very interesting. But that's not the only new Pokemon that we have here. We have two forms of Vivillon, maybe even more. Vivillon, sorry. Vivillon? Vivillon. I think it's Vivillon. Which is a bug-type Pokemon that varies its form, as we see two forms here, and the pattern of its wings based on the climate. And so there's a tundra one, a seafaring one, a jungle one, a forest one, a mountain one, a prairie one, a desert one, so on and so forth. So this means that in America we have the 50 states, right? We have a state like California, which has mountains, beaches, some parts that are like towards the desert. So you could have one state have like 4 different versions of Vivillon, which would be super cool. And the APK data mines recently have actually had a lot to do with Vivillon, but also a lot to do with pathfinding, which I think are going to be these 2 characters here. But before we get into these 2 characters, because this is the biggest theory part of the video, we gotta go into who are these 2 Pokemon here. If you don't know the Alola region, these are Turtonator and Mimikyu, 2 very, very cool Pokemon that I really, really like a lot. Turtonator is just such a cool Pokemon. I love it so, so much. I think it would be really cool. Hopefully it's not a region-locked Pokemon, but you know, if it is, it is. It's probably going to be given the Zangoose treatment, Zangoose Viper, between it and its counterpart Drampaw, which is a normal dragon type, versus this, who is, I believe, a fire dragon type. So think Reshiram, but easier to get. And then Mimikyu. I love Mimikyu. Mimikyu is a ghost and fairy type Pokemon, which is going to be super cool. I believe it's going to be really, really good if it gets the right moveset for Go Battle League, which would be super cool. I love this Pokemon, and we've seen Mimikyu literally everywhere in Pokemon Go for years. During each Halloween event, there's some new Mimikyu merch available, but never Mimikyu. So I believe this year, now that we have actual Alola Pokemon in Pokemon Go, we will finally be getting Mimikyu this next season during the Halloween event. But, speaking of next season, I believe these 2 characters here will be a pivotal part of this season and seasons to come in Pokemon Go. Now this lady, standing next to Spark, is wearing a headband that looks very much like Vivillon. It has like the butterfly ears, it has the pixelated pattern on it. I believe this lady will be in charge of giving you a new dex just for Vivillon and the various patterns that you can get from Vivillon. Now, we've had a lot of coding for this ever since it was first data mined. There's just been more code and more code and more code, and in this final one, it looks like they're finally putting the final touches on everything that we need to know about Vivillon in Pokemon Go. And that it's going to be literally everywhere. The spawns are going to be super cool, and it's not going to be like country to country. It will actually be climate related. So in the jungle, you will find jungle ones. In a forest like this, I will find a forest Vivillon pattern. If I go over to the beach, I'll find the beach pattern form of Vivillon. So that's going to be super, super cool. And then who is this guy with the tape measure around his head? I think this guy's going to be the person in charge of pathfinding in Pokemon Go, as we have tons and tons and tons of code for pathfinding in Pokemon Go. This guy will probably be in charge of the tutor of the tutorial. There we go. He will be our tutor. I can't speak. Like I said, I've already recorded this whole video before. My mouth is done. But I believe this guy will be in charge of the tutorial for pathfinding, and will probably give us any quests and kind of pop up at each pathfinding thing. So if you want to do the pathfinding, if you want to do pathfinding, I believe this guy is probably going to be kind of like a pop-up character for that. So just like whenever you go to a rocket radar and a rocket grunt pops up, if you do the pathfinding missions, this guy will pop up. And I think that's going to be really cool. And I think this lady will pop up whenever you register a new Vivillon pattern to your Vivillon Dex. And I think that is everything in this thing here. As we also see a bunch of like other things that have like been hinted at and been followed through with throughout this season of Go, from Pikachu with TCG hat to the various megas, Cyndaquil, Oshawott, and Rowlet being there from the Hisui event, which was a super Easter egg there, which was very cool. Chargebug being introduced to Pokemon Go, Shaman and Skyform Shaman being introduced to the Go Fest, and of course, Professor Willow, and all the other team leaders. But anyways, you could call this just a theory, a Joe theory. Shoutouts to MatPat. Anyways, that's going to be it for today's episode. If you did like it, go ahead and smash the thumbs up button. If you're enjoying the series, please subscribe. And as always, God bless, and see you in another episode of Pokemon Go.